Well, welcome back, everyone. You know, it has been extra hot out there, and we want to know how those animals keep cool, so we've invited Lindsey Gallagher from the Johnny Appleseed Metro Parks District. Welcome, Lindsey.
Good morning, Chris, and I'm glad to be here because it is hot outside.
Yes.
Summer just started on Friday, and the temperatures are going to continue to rise. So I've got a lot of things with me today to talk to you and the folks at home about how those animals are staying cool.
Right.
And when I've come before, we talked about how animals stay warm in the winter. And there's these two main ways that animals are going to regulate their temperature. They're either going to do it internally by regulating a metabolism, or they're going to do it externally by changing how they interact with the environment. And we're going to start first with the mammals and the owl that I have here, which is a bird. So these are all examples of endotherms. Endotherms rely on an internal mechanism of thermoregulation. So whether it's 9 degrees or 90 degrees outside, their body temperature remains relatively stable. And they do that either by sweating, by radiating away excess heat, or in some cases, by panting. So sweating, I'm going to talk about first, and it's my favorite mechanism because I'm a biologist, and anything having to do with physics is like magic to me. So sweating works as an evaporative cooling mechanism because it requires energy from our body to turn that liquid sweat into a gas. And so that heat of vaporization or evaporation actually comes from our body, and when it leaves our body, it helps us cool. Now, not all animals can sweat. Only mammals can sweat. And even not all mammals then are able to. So these are all examples of dogs. I have the 2 foxes here in Ohio and the coyote, and they only have sweat glands on the pads of their feet, and that's not enough surface area. So when dogs get hot, what do you see them doing?
Panting.
They're panting, that's right. And so that actually opens up a lot of surface area for the saliva to act as an evaporative cooling mechanism, and then that heavy breathing gets all of that hot air from their respiratory tract out into the environment. Now, birds are also capable of panting. We don't really call it that. It's a little bit of a throat fluttering. But birds and mammals as well can do a third mechanism. It's where they just radiate off excess body heat. So in some birds, they have thin, bare skin on their legs. And in mammals, there might be appendages like big ears with long, thin skin, or even on humans, our wrist right here, this pulse point, where the blood vessels come to the surface, dilate, and then push off all that excess heat. So those are all internal mechanisms.
Right.
Now, the other group of animals, which I have some live examples for us here to talk about.
I'm gonna grab
you
one.
can grab some. They all rely on external mechanisms. So they have to move around their environment in order to keep themselves cool. They have to find a shady spot, a cool spot, or maybe they have to regulate how often they're out in the time of day. So, oh, she's coming out.
She's
so
excited.
They're going to want to be out in the early morning, in the late evening, or even overnight. So I have 2 examples of ectotherms there. We've got an American toad and a box turtle. And I'm going to pull out the 3rd one here, because this is everyone's favorite. I love these guys.
I bet you do.
And it's a hard time for them this time of year, right? They're out on that hot asphalt. They're basking in the sun. I've got our gray rat snake with us here. So when these animals, again, they want to get their body temperature under control, they need to regulate it because their temperature is going to mirror the external environment. They've got to find a cool, shady space. So a lot of these critters are going to go in a burrow somewhere. Box turtles, if you hold her up there, we can see her claws. They can actually dig out a little spot for themselves, get under the wet leaf litter after a rain especially, and find a safe spot to get cool. The toad here, she's crawling around. That's exactly what she's gonna do as well, to find some damp area or a shady spot. And then the snake, we always think of snake holes, like we find a hole in the ground and we say, oh, that's a snake hole. Well, the snake didn't actually make that hole. It actually comes from a chipmunk, maybe a mole, maybe they use an old groundhog den as well and takes it over. But that's what they need to do to regulate their body temperature. And, you know, if they go in a chipmunk hole, they might find themselves a little afternoon snack. So, yeah, so these are all ectotherms. That's the way that they stay cool in the summertime.
This turtle is very active. Tell me again what her name is.
Her name is Mary Shelley.
Mary Shelley.
She's an important part of the park district here with us.
I like Mary. All right, well, Lindsey, I appreciate you coming out today and letting us know how all these wonderful animals keep cool. So thanks for coming.
Yes, let's have everyone at home stay cool too.
That's right. All right, well, don't go away because we have more when we return.